Even though it rains sometimes, we live in a truly wonderful corner of the world. From a gastronomic point of view, one could say we live in paradise. As most Gibraltarians, one of my favorite activities is to jump in the car, drive out for a couple of hours and discover a new location in which to enjoy food, wine and scenery. My name is Alex Martin, a wine consultant with a passion for quality foods and fine dining. With this program, I want to share my knowledge of this culture in the hope that I can entice you to learn more about these exquisite gastronomic products and the people who make them. This week, we'll be traveling to Jerez, where some true gastronomic treasures await us. The trip to Jerez is easy and perfectly doable as a day trip. Located inland, just over 110 kilometers from Gibraltar, it is connected by the comfortable Jerez-Los Barrios motorway. The city is laden with history, with some spectacular monumental churches and many buildings that remind us of the city's history of winemaking. Ancient gigantic warehouses with high ceilings and huge wooden doors pepper the city, all designed to create cool airy spaces to help produce the finest sherry. And of all the monumental shrines of winemaking, one that stands head and shoulders above the rest, Tío Pepe, the second most visited bodega in the world, for reasons that will soon become very obvious. Jerez de la Frontera is one of southern Spain's most beautiful destinations. The old part is made up of some of the most enchanting neighborhoods in all of Andalusia and is best explored by aimless wandering. The historical center clusters around the cathedral and Alcázar and boasts some great spots for tapas, such as the stately Plaza del Arenal or the cozy romantic Plaza de la Yebra. Jerez holds worldwide acclaim for its sherry and brandy production. Indeed, the surrounding countryside is the only place on earth where the drink is made from Palomino grapes that grow in the loose, chalky soil. To learn about Jerez's century-old association with sherry, we recommend you to take a tour of the Tío Pepe cellars, something they will be very happy to organize for you in Spanish or in English. And trust me, you will need it because the place is vast, so much so that it holds 3 consulates in its facilities.
Hi Alex.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
How are you?
Very well.
Thank you for having us today.
Welcome to González Byass.
Thank you.
So you're ready for today?
I'm very ready.
Very good. Well, if you follow me, we have some very interesting things to show you today. We're going to have a look at our historical archives.
Oh, fantastic.
And we're going to see the close relationship that González Byass as a winery and a wine producer has had for basically centuries with Gibraltar, and then later on we'll be meeting up with our winemaker, Antonio Flores.
Oh, fantastic.
Who is going to show you a bit of some of the treasures that we have saved within the winery.
González Byass is one of Spain's most well-known sherry bodegas. Its origins can be traced to 1835 when it was founded by Manuel María González Ángel, who was subsequently joined by his English agent, Robert Blake Byass. Tío Pepe, the iconic sombrero-wearing guitar-toting bottle, is the classic image of the brand since 1935. Is this one of the original buildings of the winery, or?
Exactly. So we find ourselves in the historical facilities of González Byass. So this is where the winery was founded back in 1835, and basically all the facilities that we have here on top, they are the foundational facilities.
Right.
And then the winery basically expanded bit by bit with the following cellars that we have down here that were built around 1850. So this is where we have our historical archives. We both have a documentary archive with all the documents, inventory books, letters, and so on. And then we have a more visual side with photographs of all the different members of the family and all the different events that have taken place within the winery.
Because González Byass is still a family-owned company, is it?
Exactly. So González Byass, of course, indicates that it consists of 2 different families: the González family, which refers to the Spanish family, and then Byass, which refers to the UK family. This was a business relationship that goes all the way back to 1855. But the González Family still owns 97% of the shares of the company.
So let's have a look at the archives then.
Very well. So Alex, I'm going to present you Jesus.
Jesús.
He's our main responsible for the archives, and he's of course the one that has all the knowledge, and
Right.
he has all the knowledge about the long history that we have with Gibraltar.
Fantastic. Jesús, veo que tenéis aquí un tesoro histórico en forma documental.
Sí, efectivamente, tenemos aquí la documentación de bueno, toda la historia de la empresa y bueno, desde el siglo XIX, desde 1835, a través de ese primer envío de vino a Inglaterra, pues se empieza la actividad de González Byass y toda esa documentación, cartas enviadas, cartas recibidas, contratos, todo ese tipo de documentación lo guardamos aquí, los libros de contabilidad. Y bueno, aquí tenemos una selección de algunas cartas. Entonces tenemos aquí a dos de los gobernadores de Gibraltar, que no vinieron solos, vinieron con su familia. Aquí tenemos una foto concretamente del señor líder con Pedro Nolasco González de Soto. Esa es su casa. Después tenemos también aquí al señor Speed. Esta fotografía es una visita de personas de Gibraltar que vienen a la bodega y que están ahí. Bueno, la foto es un venenciador que está venenciando vino para la visita. Y aquí tenemos una fotografía que es en Gibraltar. Estas fotografías de el fondo, nosotros llamamos el fondo del Alquillo porque es una finca de una familia, de una rama de la familia, y entonces pertenece a esa fotografía, pertenece a esa parte de esa rama. Sí.
Veo que hay una gran relación con Gibraltar, una relación comercial de muchos años.
Sí, efectivamente. Prácticamente desde el principio hay una relación con Gibraltar y bueno, la empresa empieza como una empresa exportadora y bueno, posiblemente la exportación a Gibraltar fuese incluso antes que la propia comercialización a nivel nacional.
Y hay una anécdota que a mí me gusta mucho y que muy poca gente sabe, y es que, bueno, si hay un vino bandera de vosotros es Tío Pepe.
Sí,
y es cierto que la primera vez que Tío Pepe aparece con el nombre Tío Pepe en un documento fue para una transacción a Gibraltar.
Efectivamente, sí, aquí podemos verla en este libro. Aquí tenemos uno de los libros de embarque. Los libros de embarque vienen apuntados todas las referencias del vino que sale de la bodega y a dónde se envía y una serie. Y aquí tenemos en 1855 un envío de una caja de botellas de vino a Lord Cecil Brownlow, gobernador de Gibraltar, y aquí aparecen 6 de las botellas que se mandan son de Tío Pepe. Otras marcas también, pero es la primera aparición del Tío Pepe en 1855 como marca.
Ajá. Pues Jesús, muchísimas gracias por atendernos, porque tenéis aquí un archivo histórico que es un tesoro.
Encantado.
Muchas gracias.
Vuestra visita.
Very well, and we will continue. I'll show you the cellars that we have
Fantastic.
here.
Looking forward to that. The tour around the bodega is truly fascinating. In it, you learn that the company was not only at the forefront of sherry wine making, they have also participated in the introduction of the first grass tennis court, the installation of the first electric lighting and running water in the plant, the first train project in Spain, as well as numerous other industrial and cultural innovations. Wines especially crafted for monarchs and aristocrats the world over. You'll even find one of Spain's top 10 most beautiful streets, La Calle Ciegos, with its vine roofing and majestic metal gate. Walking through its facilities and bodegas feels like taking a stroll down the history of Spanish winemaking, a history in which British culture left a profound and lasting mark.
So Alex, the cellar that we're entering now is called La Constancia, of course meaning consistency. Consistency was a very important value for the founder. He wanted consistency from his workers, but he also wanted consistent quality, high quality in his products. The system of aging that we use here in Jerez is called criaderas y solera. It's a system that we use in order to reproduce the same wine over and over again, always obtaining a high quality. But before this system was invented, we were using the vintage system, which is the system that you use in any other wine region.
Yeah, I can see here in the barrels that you have some vintage, different vintages.
Exactly. So basically, the barrels that we have here in the middle of the cellar are the different vintages that we have commercialized. Only the most exceptional vintages are bottled. So the last one we had was from 1987. What the vintage wines offer are something that represents that specific vintage and that specific climate, that specific harvest, and the grapes that we obtain from that harvest. Of course, what we have here before going into the next cellar is a typical patio of Jerez, where you see the flowers hanging on the walls. You have the fruit trees with the oranges. You typically have lemons as well.
And you can see also that for sherry wines and for Jerez, it's so important the architecture, the things like using esparto, straw mats in the windows, the high windows, so everything has a reason for it.
Exactly, and everything is very traditional. It doesn't mean that we don't innovate, but we have a very high respect for how things were, and things were made for a reason. They had a purpose. The cellars are built in a specific way to keep the temperature down and to keep the humidity up, because that is important for the wines. So this means that the cellars have thick walls, they have high ceilings to improve the air circulation, and the straw mats are also to keep the temperature stable and to avoid having too much sunlight.